Hey guys, in this video we're going to talk about the two different types of hypocrites. You can find this conversation if you type in hypocrite at pursuegod.org. And we're going to talk about the two types of hypocrites. Now, first of all, if you just Google the definition, a hypocrite is a person who claims or pretends to have certain beliefs about what's right, but who behaves in a way that disagrees with those beliefs. So it actually comes from the Greek word for an actor. And so it's all about sort of putting on a mask. You're pretending to be someone that you're not. Now, here's the thing. In the church, most people think about this first type of hypocrite, what we call the legalistic hypocrite. Now, this is the religious person who just loves to go around judging people and telling them that they're wrong and they're bad. And maybe you know hypocrites like this, or maybe you are a hypocrite like this. Jesus talked about this kind of a hypocrite when he said this, and why worry about the speck in your friend's eye when you have a log in your own eye? How can you think of saying to your friend, hey, let me help you get rid of that speck in your own eye when you can't see past the log in your own? You hypocrite. First get rid of the log in your own eye, then you'll see well enough to deal with the speck in your friend's eye. And so this legalistic hypocrite usually sort of projects his or her anger and disgust at his own sin onto another sinner. And so a lot of times he's judging his own sin by judging the other person, but he just doesn't tell anyone that he's dealing with the same thing. There are a lot of legalistic hypocrites out there. Maybe you know some of them. But the second type of hypocrite is really the one that most people don't ever think about. It's what we call the liberal hypocrite. This is the guy that doesn't come off religious at all. They call themselves a Christian, but they're super liberal with the way they live their life. And what I mean by that, I don't mean religious or politically liberal. I just mean that they're very liberal with themselves. They sort of use grace as a license to sin. So what they do is they don't go around judging anyone else because they recognize they have a log in their own eye, but they have no desire to get the log out of their own eye, which is a problem because look at what, back up here, Jesus said, get rid of the log in your eye, and then you should see to deal with the speck in your friend's eye. So Jesus is never commanding us not to deal with the speck in someone else's eye. In fact, if you love your brother, then you're going to tell them if they've got a pretty clear blind spot in their life, or if they've got sin in their life. If you're a follower of Jesus, hopefully you've got the courage to tell somebody about that. But Jesus is saying, well, don't do it if you're a hypocrite. Don't do it if you're faking it yourself. So the point isn't to try not to live to honor God. The point is live to honor God and then help other people live to honor God. Don't be a liberal hypocrite, someone who just says, oh, I don't care what I do. I'm saved by grace, but I'm not going to judge you because I've got problems too. No, that's still a hypocrite because you're faking it. You're not living on the outside what you say to be true on the inside. You say you're a pursuer of God, and yet you ignore what God wants you to do. That's hypocritical. Think of it like that. Jesus said this, Matthew 5, if you ignore the least commandment and teach others to do the same, you will be called least in the kingdom of heaven. But anyone who obeys God's laws and teaches them will be called great in the kingdom of heaven. But I warn you, unless your righteousness is better than those hypocrites, that's what Jesus is saying, then you'll never enter the kingdom of heaven. See, Jesus is saying, don't be one of those Pharisaical, legalistic hypocrites, but he's also saying, don't swing to the other side and be this liberal hypocrite who has no intention at all of honoring God with your life, even though you say that you are one of his disciples. Now go ahead and use some of those discussion questions. Talk about this with someone in your own world, in your own life that you can trust to help you through this topic. And then check out some of those other related resources on the topic of hypocrites.